Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of my podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to deal with breakups when the other person is most of your social life. If this doesn't apply to you, then click off, but please send me a topic because I am taking requests. I've never had a breakup before actually, but I have lost most of my social life. So, I'll do my best. What I think is that, when I lost most of my social life was the end of high school. So let me take you back. It was 2023. I just graduated, and in high school, I had been seeing my friends every day at school. But when I got out of high school, I stopped seeing them altogether. I didn't see anyone from high school. I saw people from high school at one party, and then I saw another couple of people about a year and a half later, twice, and then I stopped seeing them as well. So I essentially, graduation, I said goodbye to everyone for good. So it was kind of like I broke up with everyone from my high school. The reason for it was because I wasn't actually close friends with anyone from my high school because at this time I had terrible conversation skills. So couldn't make any friends because I was too quiet, essentially. So upon losing all my friends, I felt sad. After high school, I was not happy. I've always been happy. So even in the years of high school where, looking back, they weren't that good, I was getting bullied and stuff. At the time, I was like, you know what, this is pretty good. Maybe it's not as good as primary school, but it's pretty good. And when I got out of high school, I had that same thing where I was like, you know what, it's pretty good. High school was way, 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 way better, but this is pretty good. In retrospect, though, I wasn't that happy. But I obviously wasn't super depressed, even though I'd gone from seeing my friends every single day to now sitting at home all day doing nothing. I did have work, but I didn't get along socially with anyone at my work. So that wasn't very optimal. And, if you have a breakup, you're still going to have work. So it's a comparable situation. But what happened, how I kind of got through it without feeling too upset, was that I had other stuff to focus on. Now, in the time immediately after my breakup, I had what I would call a break. And then after that, I went into a grind phase. So I had a break phase, then a grind phase. And I think that's pretty typical. Even though I didn't have the typical breakup circumstances, it does kind of align with that. So in a typical breakup, I've heard a lot of people have a break phase, which is where some people call it a slutty phase. That's kind of a bit different, but it's a phase where, it seems to me, it's a phase where you're not trying to date. You're just like, let me relax, because you've got all this freedom now. You don't have to see, if the person you're dating was most of your social life, you've now got all this time extra where you don't have social life. So in that time, during your break phase, you can use that to just relax, recalibrate, reset your hedonic standards down to a lower baseline, and then go from there. The point of this is to say that you don't need to immediately go into doing something productive, but the key part of my advice is that actually the best way to deal with losing most of your social life is to do something productive and have a grind phase. But the reason I'm talking about the break phase is because often a break phase can be helpful before you then enter the grind phase. But you can't expect your feelings to go away completely during a break phase, because I'll get to that when I explain why the grind phase works. But when does a break phase get too long? For me, it was very natural. My break phase ended when university started a few months later. So that was pretty easy. And, towards the end of my break phase, I started making YouTube videos on another channel. It was like a gaming channel. So I was working a fair bit, and I was looking into I think crypto or something at this point. So I was doing somewhat productive stuff. The grind phase was beginning. I'm going to say that if you just remember that the grind phase is what's going to make you better, then you shouldn't be tempted to continue your break phase forever. In other words, like, you should be able to have the wisdom to go, okay, what's going to make me feel better here is starting to work on something else. So I'm going to start working on something else and then actually do that. I think that will help. But then the grind phase. So this is how I actually believe you deal with the loss of a major part of your life, whether that's a breakup that lost you most of your social life, whether that's, I don't know, you've graduated from a university and now you don't see people there, whether you've like just gotten fired from your job, whatever it is, if you've lost a big chunk of something, maybe a family member's passed away, the way I think you should get over it after your short break phase is to start working on something and get good at something. When you are, like, I'm biased because I think my personality is naturally inclined towards being really into self-improvement and constantly just getting better every day. But I think it's something that everyone enjoys. They may not be good at it initially, then they may not have like discovered it much in their past, but I think if everyone was to actually do it, they would enjoy it. It would help them. So what you're doing is you're picking something that you want to get better at and you're getting better at it. So for me, I wanted to be really good at studying. So I was trying to get like straight 7s. I was trying to improve my grades a lot. So what this all does is it gives you something else to focus on. So right now I have a girlfriend. If she was to break up with me right now, or if I was to break up with her, I would be really, really upset. Like, I really don't want to break up with her, you know? But if it happened, I would be like, okay, well, I guess I'd better keep making YouTube videos, you know? Like, I've got YouTube videos to make. I can't be letting down my audience. So I'm going to keep working on this. And, you know, if I just give up right now because I'm unhappy, I'm not going to achieve my YouTube goals. So that keeps me going. And every morning I can wake up and I can go, okay, yes, I'm not going to get to see my girlfriend today. That's really upsetting. I'm sad. But also I get to make like a YouTube video. That's pretty fun. And, you know, even if it's not fun, because realistically the stuff you're grinding isn't that fun, it's like addictive in a way. It's like a state of flow. You know what you have to do and you want to do it because it will make you better, or it will give you a sense of achievement once you have done it, which makes you happy. And then that happiness fuels further achievement, which fuels further happiness, and that's how you become happy and successful. So whether you are currently into self-improvement, or you're a really hardworking, grindy person, or you're not, I would just try to pick something that you want to get better at and that you actually value, and I would focus on getting better at that. And as for the feelings of I'm sad that I don't have this person in my life anymore, I don't have this part of my life, you've got to accept that you have lost an important part of your life. You can't go, oh no, my life is still just as good, because it's not. And you can't overcome trauma like that if you're not processing it. So you have to accept that your life has probably gotten a bit worse. But think about it from an objective standpoint. Your life is probably still okay. And there's also, this is probably like a couple months of your life that may not be that good while you're getting over this person. But you're like, I don't know, let's say you're 30 years old. I'm 20, so let's say you're 20 for me. You've still got like another 60 years of your life. So this 3 months is not all of your life. I think a lot of people who are like suicidal, the reason they commit suicide is because their life right now sucks. And if you think about, like, it would be a shame to end your life because your life sucks for 1 month and then rob yourself of another 60 years of potential happiness. And if you're skeptical that your life can get better, everyone who is alive right now, who has overcome like trauma their life did get better. And if they could do it, you can probably do it as well. If the starving kids in Africa are living right now and they're happy, if the quadruple amputee who can't talk is happy, then that doesn't mean you should be happy right now because you're not used to it yet. But your life will probably get to a point where you can be happy eventually. So once you've started to accept all this and you've entered the grind phase, maybe you've had a break phase, or maybe you've gone straight to the grind phase, you will now be maybe not as happy as you were before, but you will have a reason to wake up. You will have stuff to feel proud of. You will have stuff to look forward to. And as a result, you will be okay. And once you're okay, then you can start worrying about building back your social life, building back the thing that you've lost. It may be like, this is kind of like the break phase. You don't need to do that straight away because you can enjoy not having a significant other, not having a partner, not having friends for a little bit, because there's always benefits to not having something. There's benefits to not having $1 billion. There's benefits to not having a partner. All this amazing stuff has benefits. But you don't want to stay there forever. You don't want to be poor forever. You don't want to have no relationships forever. But you can, go a tiny bit without it. So don't worry immediately if you don't have it. And again, you don't need to think that everything is going to stay the same, because if you don't have friends for 3 months, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have friends for the rest of your life. So it's like same kind of thing. Just remember that this is a short period and you're going to change. People, their futures change more than they think. So don't underestimate how much your future will change. And then as for actually slowly building back up your social life or whatever, it's not going to happen straight away, but it will happen eventually. Just to really drive home that point that you will continue to change and that your life right now isn't how it's going to be forever. There was a study where they looked at, you guys may have heard this before, because I heard this at another YouTube channel. There was a study where they asked people to judge how much their life had changed in the past 10 years, and then judge how much they predicted their life to change in the next 10 years. And people consistently underestimated how much their life would change in the next 10 years because they followed up in 10 years. So people are notoriously, it's human nature, we underestimate how much our life will change in the future. So just keep that in mind. And then whatever you're currently saying, oh no, this is how it's going to be, just adjust for that kind of heuristic, that human nature thing where we underestimate. So just add a little bit extra change to whatever you're predicting. So to summarize, if you've lost a major part of your life, add in another part of your life, a grind phase, and work on that. That part of your life will sustain you until the feelings naturally go away over time. And then you can start to build back that part of your life, keeping in mind that your current bit of life right now, your life right now, is not the happiest you've ever been, but that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way for the rest of your life. You will change more than you think. So I hope this helps. Send in your recommendations and have a great day.